Okay, hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Brad Gottschall. I am the Lower Paxton Township Manager, and in typical fashion, I will give a brief summary of tonight's meeting, particularly for the benefit of those who may be watching at home on television. So as you can notice here, we have a fairly lengthy agenda this evening, so I will get to it. Under new business, the board, actually under old business, we have an item under old business this evening, which is a presentation on an update to the Kiwanis Canine Temporary Holding Facility project, which is located at the Township Public Works Garage. Under new business, the board will take action to award the Stonebridge Apartments Stream Restoration Project contract. We have here with us this evening our engineer, Mr. Hines. Next, the board will take action on bids for the maintenance and emergency repairs contract for the wastewater and stormwater collection systems. Mr. Waiver is here with us this evening from the sewer department. After that, the board will take action to authorize the execution of a lease finance agreement with Santander Bank, municipal finance for 4 2021 Ford Explorers for the police department. After this, the board will take action on Resolution 21-24, resolving support for the Pennsylvania Commission for the United States Semi-Quincentennial. Okay. I was hoping I'd get that right. Next, the board will take action on Resolution 21-23, authorizing the submission of a traffic signal maintenance agreement with PennDOT. Next, action on Resolution 21-26, authorizing the submission of additional streets to be included in the township's liquid fuel list with the Commonwealth. Next is action on a professional services agreement with Raftelis Financial Consultants Incorporated. That relates to a grant the township recently received. And then finally, before the payment of township and authority bills and adjournment, the board will take action on subdivision and land development items, including a preliminary and final subdivision and land development for Wind Chase Phase 3, and also Resolution 21-22, also dealing with Wind Chase 3. And with all that said, members of the board are seated and prepared to conduct business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gottschall. We'll call this meeting of the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors to order. Would like to ask everyone to please rise, and Supervisor Lindsay will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll now move to approval of minutes of the meeting of June 15th, 2021 business meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve the minutes from the June 15th, 2021 business meeting.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
This is the time set aside for public comment. Before we move to public comment, the board met in executive session, and actually we held our first budget meeting of 2021 for the 2022 budget prior to this meeting, and we'll be meeting again in executive session following this meeting.
Board meeting was public.
Pardon me? The board, yes. The budget meetings, by the way, are all public. So if any member of the public wishes to sit in on them, we'll be having them fairly regularly between now and the end of the year. Public certainly welcome to attend. Public comment is a time set aside for items not on the agenda. If you're here to talk to an item that is on the agenda, we'll have public comment on that at that time. So would anybody like to address the board on an item not on the agenda this evening? Anybody like to address the board on an item not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will now move to chairman and board member comments. Board members, do you have any comments this evening?
I just have one. On Saturday, the Heroes Grove Committee will be holding a program in memory of the 911 in New York City. It's the band starts at 11:30 and the program will start at 12 o'clock, and that's at Heroes Grove beside the Friendship YMCA.
We hope everyone will join us for the commemoration of that rather fateful day. Does anybody else have any comments?
That program is sponsored by WHP 580.
R.J. Harris has been doing it for years. It's actually a commemorative to the troops. So I hope everybody can pass the word, or if you're in the neighborhood, stop by.
And Heroes Grove Phase 2 is complete. There's now a new roof over the stage area and some additional flagpoles and such. So even if you can't make it this Saturday, we would encourage folks to go out and take a look at the project. Seeing no other board member comments, manager's report.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I only have one item this evening. As has become customary, we have begun introducing new members of the staff of Lower Paxton Township. And so with us this evening is Stephanie Hatcher, who initially actually began as an administrative receptionist with the township back all the way on May 10th of this year. And then shortly thereafter, Ms. Hatcher was promoted to the position of secretary within the Department of Sewer upon the retirement of longtime township employee Cindy Fasalt. Stephanie, a graduate of York Technical Institute, joins us from the private sector, where she served a number of years with various well-established organizations in the area, providing administrative assistance in a number of capabilities or capacities. I'm excited to have Stephanie on staff, where I know she will make continued contributions and assist the sewer department in appropriately assessing utility data, working through billing questions and logistics, and generally tending to departmental affairs. So Stephanie, hello. Come on up to the podium, please, to say hello to the board. And let me just ask one question of you, Stephanie, for the board's benefit. What excites you the most about getting to work with Lower Paxton Township?
Well, I love all my coworkers, and thank you for actually hiring me first of all. But I actually love coming to work. I love all the coworkers here. I love being able to interact with all the clients coming in, as well as not working from home, I should say. I just like having interaction with everybody here.
Good. Welcome.
Thank
So
you.
your job will be to keep Mr. Weaver under control. Is that
I'll try. I'll
good,
try.
Good luck.
She's learned fast, Mr. Weaver.
Welcome
try.
aboard. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Do you have anything further, Mr. Gottschall?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, with that, we will proceed to old business, and we will begin with a presentation and an update on the Kiwanis Canine Temporary Holding Facility Project, and Mr. Bill Minsker from the Kiwanis and many other fine organizations is here.
Good evening, members of the board. Do you have a copy, the 3-page item that shows the final plans? Mm-hmm. Do you have it with you? I have extra copies if you don't.
It's up on the screen as well.
Got it. Just a couple items to point out. The project is continuing. The concrete pad is about to be laid. The Votech School then will begin construction with the Bob Wright Bill overseeing everything. By the way, I'm sorry, I'm Bill Minsker, 5956 Lingelstown Road Rear, Lingelstown, and president of the Kiwanis Club of Lingelstown area. A couple items to point out on the drawing. We have eliminated the run area that was in front simply because any dogs that are at this holding area are there for hopefully a maximum of 2 days. And a run area really is not necessary, which cuts down on our cost. And secondly, on the second, I think the second page of the drawing, you will notice in the existing building, which becomes now a work area, now this is on the third page of the drawing, there is a sink on the drawing. Adam Kashiba and I have decided this is not necessary because in the wintertime it would require heat to be run in the building the entire time just to protect the pipes. And outside, close to this structure, the existing structure, there is access to water, which the police officers are now using for any cleanup and things like this. So we decided that would just continue. This eliminates the need for indoor plumbing. It eliminates hiring a plumber and will save some funding on the cost of this project. Hopefully, this project will be completed after a long delay by this autumn. Right now, there's some question of supplies due to the hurricane and big storm activities that we just encountered, with construction materials now being in short supply. So we just have to work through that, but the project is working. We anticipate that this will be completed shortly.
Hey,
Do you have
Bill?
any questions?
Yeah, Bill, for the people that aren't aware of the holding area, or even why we had a need to improve it, could you take a minute or two and talk about the why and what we had and how it's going to be improved?
At the maintenance building, which is on Locust Lane, close to the Votech School, on the far back side, on the south side of the maintenance building, there is a little, to be kind, shack that has two very primitive cages to hold stray dogs. Our Kiwanis Club became aware of this facility through a program that had been given to us by one of the police officers of the township with his dog, and we decided this would be a good project for our club to undertake. The purpose of Kiwanis is to do projects involving youth. The youth involvement in this is the use of youth from the Dauphin County Tech School. And we decided we would restructure and rebuild this facility to make it an enclosed, all-weather facility for a maximum of 3 dogs that are held basically for 2 days. If the owner is not discovered, then the dogs are given to the Humane Society. So this project has been underway for quite a while. The pandemic kind of put it on a big hold, but now we're back and running, and we hope to have it finished soon.
Thanks, Bill.
Mr. Minsker, sorry, how are you guys doing are people donating supplies? Are you guys still accepting, cash donations? If so, how can we donate to you?
The Linglestown Kiwanis Club website has all information about this. We're approaching $10,000 of funding, which we're hoping is going to pretty well carry us through, along with some in-kind donations of materials, and most, if not all, of the labor now will come from students at the tech school,
And they're
which
doing
will
that
save
as,
us considerable funding
as final projects.
and
I
be
guess.
great experience for them.
Great. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bill, I just have a question. You're eliminating the run, so is there an area outside of being inside where they can go to the bathroom, or will they be going to the bathroom inside the building that you're
They'll be
building?
using the inside facility. We have this designed with absorbent materials, something like cat litter, only it's for dogs. And at the bottom of each of the holding areas to the outside is a clean-out area.
Okay, great, good, thank you.
Wow.
Any other questions? I am very happy that this project is now reaching its conclusion.
This has been going on for a while. Congratulations, Bill, and our appreciation to the Kiwanians for your diligence in getting this done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, that brings us to new business. Our first item of new business is to take action to award the Stonebridge Apartments Stream Restoration Project contract. It's a substantial one. We have with us Mr. Weaver and Mr. Hines. Mr. Weaver, are you taking the lead on
Yes,
this?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'll just give a brief background on the project, and I'll turn it over to Jason. The board sure recalls that this project is required as part of our township MS4 permit. This is the Joint Pollution Reduction Plan. This is Stonebridge, which is project BMP number 2, and the low bid received was from Flyway Excavating, an amount of $889,139. However, you may recall we did receive a grant for $275,000. In addition, Susquehanna and CRW will be sharing in this project. So the total cost to the authority, this is a capital fund expenditure from the authority, is $350,000. Basically, HRG has done an extensive review of the bid documents, and I'll turn it over to Jason from here.
Sure, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Mr. Weaver did an excellent job of introducing the project. The only thing that I would add is that I did have a conversation with Flyway Excavating. They're very excited about the opportunity to work with the township and the joint partnership on the Paxton Creek initiatives. They've done many stream restoration projects in the south central Pennsylvania area, so they're very well versed in what's being asked of them. And we would recommend moving forward with awarding the contract to them in the amount of $889,139. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Jason, I don't know if we've ever used them before. I haven't heard of that name.
No, they're unfamiliar to the township.
Okay.
They're a Mount Joy-based company. We do at HRG have experience working with them. We've worked with them in other surrounding local municipalities, so they're not completely unfamiliar to us.
Okay.
And the funding for this is from the stormwater fee?
That's correct, and it is in the 2021 budget and in the 2022 budget because the schedule has them completing it in 2022.
Mr. Weaver, I saw they came in a little higher than the engineers.
Yeah, well, we expected that. The engineer's estimate, and Jason can speak to that more too, was done a while back, and with COVID and the difficulty in getting supplies and the cost of materials, we did expect to see much higher pricing.
Okay.
Yeah, but they are considerably less than if you see the other 6 bidders.
Right.
I think it's still a good deal for
Okay.
the authority in the township.
Thank you.
Any other questions, gentlemen, on this way? Any public questions or comments on the issue? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we award the Stonebridge Apartment Stream Restoration Project contract to Flyway Excavating in the amount of $889,139.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And Mr. Weaver, you are item 9B as well. We need to take action on bids for the maintenance and emergency repairs contract for the wastewater and stormwater collection system.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The sewer department opened bids for the maintenance and emergency contract on August 11th. You have in your packet the certified bid tab along with a recommendation letter from GHD that the board consider rejecting all the bids. This is sort of a spin-off of what we just talked about. We have much higher pricing in pipe and labor costs, and GHD, as we requested, did an analysis of the additional cost with this proposed bid compared to the current contract, which is in your packet. And you can see that the increase in costs under the maintenance item would be anywhere between 34% to 120%. So township staff does have the ability to do sewer replacements on an emergency basis. We cannot go deeper than 10 to 12 feet. So for significant force main repairs, sewer repairs, we've always traditionally had an emergency contract. So it's our recommendation that we reject all the bids and rebid it with an emergency contract and the maintenance contract as an alternate. I did speak to, or GHD did speak to the low bidder EK Services. They understand, and they are willing to, at least they indicated on it verbally to GHD that they would rebid it in that format. So at this time, I'll be happy to answer any questions, but it's staff and GHD's recommendation that the board reject all bids.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Mr. Weaver? Okay, then we have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to reject all bids for the maintenance and emergency repair contracts for the wastewater and stormwater collection systems.
A motion's on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Weaver.
Thank you.
Next, we have to take action to authorize the execution of a lease financing agreement with Santander Bank Municipal Finance for the purchase of 4 2021 Ford Explorers.
For the lease of.
the lease for the, for the lease of, for the lease of 4 2021 Ford Explorers. Try saying that 3 times fast.
Really?
Mr. Godshall?
Yes, sir, members of the board, as indicated, included in the board's packet, this agreement authorizes for the leasing of 4 2021 Ford lease. There you go. Yeah.
Not
As you
that
said,
easy, is it?
The 4 Explorers will be assigned to the police department fleet. The cost of this agreement is $34,836 and has been included in the 2021 budget and will also continue annually for the next 3 years. The vehicles are being financed through Santander Bank and distributed by Hoffman Ford. Be happy to help answer any questions.
Brad, should this take care of all the police cars we have now? Will we have all Explorers?
Well, last year we did not make any purchases or leases for the police department due to budget constraints due to COVID. The year prior, the department had purchased a few Tahoes, Chevy Tahoes, but and that was the intent to move in that direction. But Chevy has been very difficult to work with from a supply capacity due to COVID, and the police department would not be able to find 4 Tahoes this year to do this lease purchase for this year. So that is a massive concern. So we're going to move forward with the Ford.
But they're
this
all
year.
SUV. Should they all be SUVs now and no cars?
Well, we still may have some sedans out there, I believe, in the patrol unit, I
Excuse
think.
me.
And certainly the other components of the department have sedans as well.
Okay.
But
Other questions, comments, board members? Okay. Any public question or comment? If not, there's time now for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the execution of a lease finance agreement with Santander Bank Municipal Finance for 4 2021 Ford Explorers for the amount of $34,836.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
And now, item 9D, we have before us Resolution 21-24, resolving the township's official support for the Pennsylvania Commission for the United States Semi-Quincentennial. And Mr. Minsker has presented that to us. I believe the Dauphin County Commissioners have already approved said resolution, and the resolution has been circulated to board members. Do we have any questions or comments? Any public questions or comments? America 250 coming up quickly. Do we have a motion then?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution 21-24, resolving support for the Pennsylvania Commission for the United States Semi-Quincentennial.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
9E, we need to take action on Resolution 21-23, this authorizing the submission of a traffic signal maintenance agreement. Mr. Godshall.
Yes, members of the board, per a newly updated PennDOT Publication 191, otherwise known as the Traffic Signal Maintenance Manual, a traffic signal maintenance agreement must be in place prior to the issuance of a new or revised traffic signal permit. Prior to this update, municipalities were required to pass a resolution generally indemnifying PennDOT and outlining maintenance responsibilities each time a new signal permit was being applied for. Now, per the new regulations, municipalities are required to pass the attached blanket maintenance agreement and resolution covering all permits, current and future. The revised agreement strengthens language relating to the responsibility of each party, further delineates liability responsibility, and establishes roles and responsibilities for municipal traffic signal permittees for the retention of traffic signal records within PennDOT's online traffic signal asset management system. The Township Solicitor has reviewed the resolution and the agreement, and it is recommended that the Board take action to adopt this resolution this evening.
Okay. Would you like to repeat that? That's a very thorough
No.
explanation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there any question? Are there any questions? Any public questions, comments? Is there then a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the action on Resolution 21-23, authorizing the submission of a traffic signal maintenance agreement as adequately described by Mr. Gottschall.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
9F, we need to take action on Resolution 21-26, authorizing the submission of additional streets to be included in the township's liquid fuels list. Again, Mr. Godshall.
Yes, sir, members of the Board. So although this is not done often, Resolution 21-26 is traditional practice in Lower Paxton Township, providing the mechanism by which various roadway dedication resolutions can be memorialized and filed with the Clerk of Courts of Dauphin County. Essentially, this resolution compiles all the road dedications since now 2020 and transmits them to the county, and also allows us to formally add them to the liquid fuels listing with the Commonwealth. So I'd be happy to answer any questions on this resolution.
Board members, any questions?
There's only a few streets that are on the resolution, and I know that we've had added other streets. I'm just questioning why there's just these couple, which are all in amber fields.
I'm hoping I'm not going to put her on the spot, but if I do, she can tell me later. Mrs. Zerby, do you have I think Mrs. Zerby put this together, I think.
I did. There should not be. Some of those resolutions are for additional roadways. I know Stray Winds, if you keep moving up, there are some from Stray Winds as well.
Okay, I'm just seeing on the resolution, it's just showing Candlestick Court, Christians Drive,
Yeah,
Fenway
there's-
Drive, and Riverside Court.
You have to go by the front page, the resolution that adopts the other resolutions. So if you go up a little bit.
Where?
So in there, it shows 20-08, 20-26, 20-27. Those are the actual resolutions that adopted the roads. And then when you scroll down, it puts those resolutions, show which streets are adopted.
Okay, I was just
So
looking
there's-
at the resolution, and it just had those four.
Yes, no,
Okay.
when you go through, you'll see there's Seabiscuit, all the roads that we've adopted since
Okay.
2020
Okay.
are on there.
So we've had resolutions in the past. These are just new ones that are being added to.
Each time a developer asks for a road to be taken by the township, you have a resolution before you, you approve it, and it sits in a pile until we
Okay, got it.
can, yeah.
Any other questions? Any public questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we adopt Resolution 21-26, authorizing the submission of additional streets to be included to the township's liquid fuels list.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye? Aye. Thank you. 9G, we need to take action on a professional services agreement with Revtalis Financial Consultants Incorporated. Mr. Godshall, would you explain what they are going to consult us on?
Yes, absolutely. So having received word that the township was awarded a $58,250 grant under the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development's Strategic Management Planning Program, the board must now enter into this professional services agreement to begin allowing the rendering of consulting services per the proposal as submitted by the firm, which is Raftellus Financial Consultants. The consulting services will include such items as producing a 5-year financial planning document, reviewing all outstanding management operational tactics within the township, reviewing all of the organizational policies and procedures of the township, and then also producing final recommendations based on best practices and things as it relates to providing municipal service at a reasonable financial expectation given the 5-year financial plan. So it really allows the township to see, from a different perspective, a longer-term financial plan and make sure that we are moving in the right direction. The agreement as presented to the board this evening is in the total amount not to exceed $116,500 and shall remain in effect for 1 year. As I mentioned, the DCED provided us a grant of half of this cost. And then additionally, as presented to the board in the past, this specific grant program allows the township to then apply for subsequent funding of whatever the firm has identified as being a best practice that it is recommended we implement. So, next year we could apply again for additional funds to actually pay for something they have recommended in the plan. So it's a very good program.
Very good. So we're looking at longer range planning and not just year to year with this.
Correct.
Excellent. Board members, any questions of Mr. Gottschall?
Brad, they're out of Charlotte, North Carolina, which we know, but the lady's name that's on the end, she's out of Ohio. So is their financial department out of Ohio?
I think they'll pool their consultants from several different locations. They have this actually. Raftellus is actually the firm that produced the stormwater fee. Mm-hmm. So we do have good background with them, and so I think yeah, they have multiple offices around the nation.
Because I know we dealt with them in North Carolina, and one page says that, and another page,
yeah,
her name is from Ohio. So okay,
Julia Novak.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Any public questions or comments? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I will move that we approve a professional services agreement with Raftellus Financial Consultants Incorporated for $116,500 for preparation of a 5-year strategic management plan.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes old business. We'll now move to subdivision and land development, where we are going to be removing the sewage planning module for Wind Chase 3 from the agenda. We don't have all the documentation on that, but we do have action on a preliminary and final subdivision and land development plan for Wind Chase 3. Mrs. Zerby.
Good evening. The preliminary final subdivision and land development plan for Wind Chase 3 proposes to subdivide the existing Lot 4, which is Wind Chase 2, into 2 lots. Part of Lot 4 will be combined with existing Lot 5 to create the proposed Wind Chase 3. Lot 4, Wind Chase 2, will have a total area of 3.96 acres. Lot 5, which will be Wind Chase 3, will have a total of 3.88 acres and will consist of 21 townhouse units. The required parking facilities, driveway access, lighting, and stormwater management facilities shall be constructed as shown on the plan. The site is in the R2 medium density zoning district and will be served by public sewer and water supply. The plan was approved at the August 11, 2021 Planning Commission meeting and tabled at the August 17th Board of Supervisors meeting. There are 4 waiver requests for the plan, and all requests are supported by staff. And Zach Yerlich from Triple Crown Corporation is here tonight, and he can address any questions that the board may have.
Okay. You would please come to the podium. Again, give us your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Zach Yerrick with Triple Crown Corporation, located at 5351 JC Avenue in Harrisburg. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Windchase 3 plan. If you'll recall at the last meeting, you asked us to go back and take another look at bringing access up from Lancer Street. Nick DeSantos submitted a letter to the board on August 24th outlining 6 reasons why we chose access from Colorado Ave as opposed to Lancer Street. Was that supplied to the board, Amanda?
I don't think I received that.
Okay. I can hand out a few copies and then we
What,
can...
just briefly, what are the 6 reasons?
Sure. The 6 reasons are, number 1, cul-de-sac limitations. The ordinance provides for a limit on the length of cul-de-sacs of 600 feet. If we came up through Windchase 2, the cul-de-sac would be over 1,000 feet. The second reason were the steep slopes that we discussed at the last meeting. The access road from Windchase 2 would have to come up through environmentally sensitive features and would have slope variations in excess of the 10% maximum allowed by the ordinance. 3, stream and wetland disturbances, which we discussed at the last meeting as well. Number 4, additional impervious area. We went ahead and calculated the difference in impervious area if we would bring the road up through Windchase 2 versus creating the cul-de-sac from Colorado Ave. Overall, it resulted in an additional 1/4 acre or 9,600 square feet of impervious coverage, which we're trying to avoid for stormwater purposes. Number 5, Windchase 2 infrastructure impacts. Because of the location of the ponds for Windchase 2, we would have to reconfigure those to build the road across the creek to access the top half of the site. In addition, there would be another 12 to 14 foot of fill placed over the existing sanitary line, which of course would create problems if there were ever repairs needed to be done by the township to that infrastructure in the future. That's our comprehensive list.
Amanda, did you get a copy of that?
I did receive a copy of
Okay.
it, but the copy I received was addressed to the Board of Supervisors, so I assumed it had been sent to the board.
Okay.
I apologize for that oversight. I have 6 copies here if you'd like to.
No, you've outlined your, so basically, basically the answer is no. So,
Correct.
correct. Have you considered, and I unfortunately, oh, here it is. Thank you, Chris. Taking a look at the aerial view of Windchase 3, there is a small street, Royal Court, that accesses the property, it looks like from the southeast. And that Royal Court is accessed by Royal Avenue. And unless this aerial map is old, there are not a lot of houses, any houses, along that road. Have you considered at all entering the property Windchase 3 from Royal Court rather than from Colorado?
We did look at that initially, and we would have to go through other private property, whereas on our plan, we purchased or have under agreement all of the land that we need to get to a public right-of-way. In addition, the Royal Ave, I believe, it's laid out for future development. I'm not sure if there's another phase there, but I would guess all of those dead-end streets are planned to be tied into at some point.
Does Triple Crown own that piece of land?
On Royal Ave?
Yeah.
No.
Would that require a stream crossing? I don't know what that area there is. Is that a stream or is that just not covered by trees? Right there, where the arrow is.
That looks like a stream to me. Without going out there and looking, I'm not sure, but it sure looks like a stream.
That's a stream. Okay. Any other comments from you?
No.
Board members, do we have any questions or comments for Zach?
Well, I guess I do have a question. A traffic study was done.
It wasn't a full traffic study, but we did look into the traffic counts on, I believe, Colorado Ave and Utah Ave, or at least the intersection of, I believe that's Prince Street in Utah.
Okay. All right. Did the engineers, did you review a traffic study for that?
No, there was no formal review of a traffic study done. We were aware that the analysis was performed. It was our understanding that it was performed in response to questions from the neighborhood, and that was the intended audience.
Would we normally ask for a traffic study to be done for a situation like this?
The project itself did not meet the warrants for a traffic study per the ordinance.
Amanda, the plan as presented, it meets all applicable laws and requirements, et
Yes.
cetera, et cetera.
Jess, I have a quick question.
What's that?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Chris.
Can you explain again for Royal Avenue? You said it looks like there might be future development as far as one of the reasons why you can't consider that. Can you explain that again?
Sure. Most of the time when you have like dead end roads on a plan like that, it's because there's a future phase plan there as part of the Royal Ave development. Without reviewing their plan, I can't comment on what that might be, but it sure looks like they're planning on time there for future development.
So this would require their cooperation.
Correct.
Amanda, do you know offhand if that's been approved for any future development? I realize you don't have it in front of you, but
Right, part of that is owned by McNaughton, so I'm not sure what he has proposed for that area.
That's the final phase of phase 5, I think, of the development. They propose to put about 4 homes around that cul-de-sac, come right behind my house.
so you did not investigate or have discussions with the McNaughton folks about the possibility of using that as an entry point?
I don't believe we did, because I think when we looked at it, we figured, they probably have 2 more townhouse buildings coming off of that cul-de-sac. We chose to take the route that we could control and, purchase the land that we needed to get to the public right of way rather than try to come to an agreement with McDonald's.
You do realize that by choosing the route you can control, you're not going to have a visit by the welcome wagon when you put this in?
I understand that, yes.
Okay. Personally, I think you should have explored that option a little bit further, but, Okay, at this point, public questions. There he is.
John Trish, 600 Prince Street. I'm going to make a couple comments, and if I'm incorrect, you can correct me. But it seems like the township supervisors have worked very hard to satisfy Triple Crown on numerous developments in the township. And if I'm not mistaken, on Y Chase 3, that was not supposed to initially, according to the plan, be a cul-de-sac. That was supposed to be Lance was supposed to drive through to somewhere. Now, where exactly, and now if I'm wrong, please let me know. But it was supposed to go somewhere. At another development, they were supposed to install a red light, and instead there was lines painted and a no left turn sign erected. That was the township supervisors working with Triple Crown on or behind the Beer Express where they were putting the houses in. I think his name was Nick DeSanto said that the water problems at that area were not just from his development, but from Briar Avenue. So the township worked with them on that. Because I suggested at the time, why can't they connect their drain to the drain that's on the road down the street? And I was told by them here at this meeting that they cannot encroach on other people's property. So my only problem with this plan is, every time Triple Crown has a problem, and they said at Y Chase 2, the problem was something about swamplands, or they didn't want to build a bridge, so you guys allowed them to put in additional houses and put a cul-de-sac in. So now they want to take a street like Prince. I moved in here 30 years ago. I could get in my car and pull out on Prince Street without looking. There was no traffic. Now we've built hundreds of homes. Now when I go to pull out, sometimes I got to wait 5 minutes. And if I hit the light wrong, I got to wait 10. But what I'm saying is, all these developments in here, all these have to go up to Locust, all these have to go to Prince, all the ones on the other side, either Prince or Hawks. Hawks is one way for a period. I'm sorry, I'm a little upset because you supervisors have worked with them. And why they haven't taken a nugget to say, hey, there was a lot of people at the meeting upset about the plan that we're planning. And you're talking, somebody said 50 additional parking spaces. So that would be 50 more cars that would travel down Utah, up Colorado to get to their cul-de-sac. And then one further question. Somebody told me that they meet all the requirements. Now they got a variance for Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now is a variance something that can be denied? So if they did not.
They requested a waiver. They did not get a variance. A variance would go to the zoning hearing board. A waiver request goes to the board of
Right.
supervisors.
So
Okay,
they requested
so-
a waiver,
And a waiver request
which has
can
not
be
been
de-
approved yet.
Okay, so I'm just bringing that up because I try to stay at home. I'm not doing too good medically wise, but all I'm doing is trying to point out to the people that were up here the things that I know that I've experienced. Because Mr. Henry, you know, I've been coming to these meetings ever since we were around the corner on Duke Street, or whatever the street it was.
I know where you mean.
And the thing is, I try to keep things straight in my head. I tried to go back and find the videos of the different times but it probably goes back to 2018 or 19. But I've watched all the way back to 2020. But they keep getting approval, and the township supervisors say, okay, you can do this instead of doing that. Now, you guys have worked with them. Why can't, in this case, they work with us? That's all I have to say.
Mr. Trish, my only comment is that is indeed a very, very big disappointment, because we rarely ask for anything from them, and it is important to us that this not occur, and we have not received cooperation in return. So we are not pleased.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
When you look at this typographical map, does Triple Crown own any other lots in that? Anybody from Triple Crown know if you own any other lots in that area that's going to be developed in the next 10 years? Nobody knows?
Okay, thank you. Okay, next. Sir, if you would please come up, give us your name and address.
Ron Eugene Long. I live right here. I had the key to all this. But Jeff Doherty stabbed me in the back. I should have got the verbal contract, which his wife put on a piece of paper, notarized, or we wouldn't be going through none of this. Me and my fiance, I was paying $200 a month. How long, babe? For this land. But because I didn't get it notarized, he stabbed me in the back because Triple Crown got millions. You know what I mean? And it breaks my heart. I feel bad because I should have got it notarized, and I don't think we'd be up here going through this right now because you don't know what it's like to have the peace and tranquility that that block has. I can't speak for the other blocks. I can only speak for where I live in that area. The wildlife is amazing. You know, it's really amazing. It takes your breath away. Now, the water issue is bad. This last rain we had, I work for Misty Meadow Landscaping. I'm sorry I came here from work. And I was shocked to see a creek. Not the curbs with that much water. There was water across the street. And it's a good thing Dan had that grate the way he had it set up so it could, instead of go down there and mess with his land. But the bottom line is this. Triple Crown got millions. We all know that. We know what's going to happen. So I have a proposal that maybe they'll listen to. This retention pond that everybody keeps talking about. If they put it right here, who's from Triple Crown? You represent them. If you put that retention pond there, instead of putting that road in, which is going to cause a lot of problems, you just don't understand. You don't live here. I give you our word. That's all we got. This school is our word. You put a retention pond there, and I'll take care of it. I'll keep the weed whacked. I'll keep it proper. You just find another place for this road, because that's the biggest problem from what I gather here. Because of my job, I missed a couple meetings. And I agree with this road's gonna just mess everything up. And I also heard that there's other ways. I ain't mistaken. I looked, I was up there. I did a lot of hiking back there before Triple Crown decided to buffalo people. No disrespect. There's a development right here, I think, yeah. And if they put a paper clip, because that's where this building with all these houses is gonna go, am I correct? Am I close? It's gonna go right here, correct? Correct. That's the woods right behind my house. And everybody on Colorado Avenue. I give you my word. You just put a retention pond there, I'll take care of the mosquitoes, the weed whacking, I'll keep it proper. Just don't put a road in there, man. You just put a road in there, it's gonna cause all kind of problems. Just don't understand, you don't live there, you know what I mean? And I don't know what else to say. I mean, you know, like I said, all I got's my word, and I honor it. I'm a hard-working fool. And I know how to take care of properties. And I don't think we're gonna be able to stop the building because they got too much money. I had the key, and like I said, because I didn't get that piece of paper notarized, the guy stabbed me in the back. He gave me the money back that me and my fiance invested in it. Every month I was paying on it, and then one day out of the clear blue, he got with somebody from Triple Crown, and they had more money than us. You know, but I didn't think I needed to get it notarized because it was family. Jeff Doherty was his name. You can check into it. I ain't bullshitting. I had the key. And I lost it, and we're not gonna stop this progress of this building. But at least we can sort of compromise some, you know. There's other ways to get to this building you're building. You just put that retention pond, the land that I lost, which is right here. I'll take care of it. Okay. Man, that grass is that high. They don't care about it. Everybody that's in my neighborhood will vouch for that. That grass is that high. I took care of that until I got stabbed in the back. And I still would take care of it, but I was told I'd get in trouble if I started cutting that grass and maintaining it like I used to.
Okay, that's sort of a side issue here to the point, but.
But you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, if I can help, because somebody's gonna have to maintain that property, even with a retention pond, am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I don't
I'll
think
do
the
it for
retention
free
pond is
if it keeps
particularly the
the
issue
road
here.
Somewhere else.
Okay.
No,
Okay,
I'm
could we move on, because we have a number of folks I think who would like to speak, and,
Yeah.
but we do appreciate your input. Who's next? Yes, sir. And then,
My name is Jarek Shank, 5021 Utah. Couple things, like the variance given to Colorado, was that due to the width of Colorado or the width of their planned drive-in? Or the
Okay, it's not a variance.
Yeah.
And nothing has been approved yet. So everything is on the table.
If you look at their traffic study, PennDOT recommends a neighborhood road of 30 feet. Their in driveway is 25 feet. So I know it's probably not a hard set, but we're already outside of their own traffic study. In addition to the traffic study, if you do read it, it specifically says it was done on Prince Street, not Colorado and Utah. It changes a 0.01% change on Prince Street, not the actual affected streets of the neighborhood. And then the Royal Ave access, if the stream crossing coming from Lancer is the issue, the Royal Ave, and a new, as far as the township's concerned, if we create one stream crossing for two developments, it's a win-win. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you were next, I believe, in the checkered shirt.
My name is James McGuire. I'm from 5036 Utah Avenue. And I just had a question. I didn't understand something that was said about the list of 6 or 7 statements that were sent to you that you never seemed to get.
Never saw. Yeah.
One of them was what? That coming off of Royal would require crossing a stream?
No, the six reasons were to come from Windchase 2 into Windchase 3. The issue of Royal was not addressed.
Okay. That was my question. I was wondering, because if they couldn't come off of Royal because of this stream that you were pointing out, well, then this developer can't cross it either.
That's a good point.
No. I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, Amanda, but I believe that stream crossings can occur. The developer has to go through a number of hurdles for permits, et cetera, correct, in order to do that.
Yeah, so DEP has jurisdiction over the waters of the Commonwealth, so a permit would need to be obtained from DEP for any kind of impacts to those jurisdictional waters, which a stream crossing is certainly one of those that would need a permit to be constructed.
Do you have any ballpark idea of the time frame for something like that to be approved?
Normally it's 6 to 12 months. Recently, kind of with the situation, it's been longer than that.
Yeah, things are still not back to normal. Okay, who else would like to speak? Please come to the podium, give us your name and address. Yes, ma'am, in the blue.
My name is Patricia Shaver, 5008 Colorado Avenue. And I've been spending a lot of time reading a lot of stuff on the Lower Paxton Township's website. And it says, there's a part there that says the zoning board's primary function is to give a variance where literal enforcement of an ordinance would result in an undue hardship to a property owner. Now, this developer owns this property. This developer's got millions of dollars. This developer's going to build something that's going to make them money. If he has to spend a little bit more money, that's just the cost of doing business. I mean, he shouldn't be allowed to come in and ruin a neighborhood just for a couple bucks. And basically, that's what you're talking about. He's gotten variances for not putting a curb.
No variances.
Waiver.
There are waiver requests. He has not gotten them.
Those have not been approved yet?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, okay. But I really do believe that somebody should look at this a little bit more carefully and not take their word for it. I mean, take a fire truck in there and have the fire company drive around. Like the other two wind chase ones. I went through them the other day, and my husband and I took a walk, and you can actually see back where they have trees planted, there's a gully where the water is just running down. Whatever they've done to stop runoff, and this was before this Ida thing, whatever they've done to stop runoff is not doing it. You go in there and you look at the dumpsters in the wind chase things. They have the little boxes you're supposed to put the dumpsters in. The dump truck can't get the dumpsters in the little boxes. And the dumpsters are sitting out in the parking lot, and there's trash piled all around them dumpsters. Well, the trash is going to blow down into the Colorado Avenue backyards. I mean, I can't tell you how, my husband and I don't drink it. I can't tell you how many beer cans we pick out of our backyard just from the apartments that are behind us. And they're not above us. They're you know, our yard goes down into them. I mean, the runoff, the trash, and the degradation it's going to cause in our neighborhood, it's just should not be allowed. I mean, we've lived here, paid taxes for us, it's over 50 years. And I just think you guys should hold them to the letter of the law, especially with taking all those trees out and taking all that topsoil off, going into shale. I mean, even the ground that is not covered by macadam and roofs, it's not going to absorb the water. It's shale. It's just going to run. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm Dan McLean. I live at 5030 Colorado Avenue. I can probably clear up a little bit on here. This is my house right here. That royal cart, they have planned, for one thing, this is R1 zoning here, that. Over here, this is R1 here owned by McNaughton. This royal cart was gonna come down like this into a cul-de-sac, out to here with about 4 houses over it. But it's owned by McNaughton. And they would have to, there is a little stream, there is a minor stream here and that. Culvert in of some size and that, you know. But as far as that goes, the township required me, this is my driveway here, 280-foot driveway back to my house. The township required me to put in I think, but anyway, there was a couple concerns that I had, mainly about trash. And I had on a flash drive here that I went around to Wind Chase 1 and Wind Chase 2 with my iPhone and took some videos of all the trash that's all around the property. You go to the retention pond, milk cartons all over the place, bags of trash, stuff like that. And I thought, they plan to put a retention pond or a runoff pond in that.
So he told us where he
This
lives.
is the start of my driveway right here. The road going back to Wind Chase 3 will be. Then between the road and my property, we have a common boundary here of about 125 feet. Retention pond and the runoff pond will be right about here. The elevation where the townhomes are going to go is 520. The elevation of my property right here is 472. That's a 48-foot drop in elevation from, you know, where there's going to be townhomes, 60 some parking spots, macadam, you know. And I know that they have, you know, interceptors and that to intercept the stormwater run. But if you'd see on the video here from some of the thunderstorms that we've had, when the water comes rushing down the street, at the end of my driveway, I paid. Sir. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, go back to the microphone.
Okay, sorry. Okay. So anyway, the water runoff that comes down the street, it has to be handled, and it used to all come down my driveway. When I had a new stamped concrete driveway put in, I paid $2,500 to have a box drain put in the whole way across my driveway. And when we get these torrential downpours, it just whips right over that. It's washed away my grass on both sides of my driveway. When I go down to my property, I have 3 acres there. It's what the runoff from the street has washed away tons and tons of topsoil from my property. You can follow from the end of the street, 300 feet down to the existing creek and there's a rut there probably this deep over the years. I built my house in 1978, and it's just from all the water coming down the street. On the one side of my driveway, I paid $800 to have a macadam chute put in to handle the water that comes down the curb. Because you figure I'm down at the bottom of the hill, everybody's roof goes to their driveway, the driveway comes down the street, and all that comes down onto my property. And I thought, you know, now with this proposed development and all like that, And with a road, like I said, the elevation 520 for the township, and my property's 48 feet lower, do you think I'm gonna have more of a water runoff problem? I think so. A lot of problems. And if you'd see the video that I have here, all that trash and that, I even said something to Triple Crown. I said, we have a common boundary of 125 feet. And I asked them, I said, right in front of public here and that, will you agree to at least put a fence up so that, I have like raw woods and that with jaggers and bushes and that. And you know what happens to trash? It's gonna get stuck in my jaggers and bushes. And I'll have to contend with all the trash that blows down my way and that. I looked at Windchase 1 and 2. And the video showed, trash all over, milk cartons and bags of trash and all like that. I don't want that on my property, and I shouldn't have to be worried about that. They should address that. And certainly the runoff issues probably are, some of the problem is by the township in that. And I handled it as well as I could. But I never did anything on the left side of my driveway. I put in an 8-inch metal pipe or concrete pipe and all like that. But it gets overwhelmed with water. My wife put in a garden there and that, and these last few thunderstorms we had, it washed away almost all the topsoil from her garden and that, so she just gave up on it and that. And that's the water coming down the street. Just from them, they had to do like an exploratory, they dug 2 holes, I guess, to see the seepage rate of the water into the ground, I guess, where the stormwater runoff would go. And just from them digging those 2 holes there in the ground, like 6 feet long by maybe 2 feet deep and all like that, I had pieces of shale all over my driveway. And this was like 30 feet off of the street. Just from them doing that, I'm out there picking up pieces of shale from that. So I can imagine once they start building that, what it's gonna do to my property and that, So, those are pretty much my concerns. I do have video here, if you want to take the time. They're less than 1 minute,
That's okay. We understand.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That's really pretty much all I have. But, they have, Triple Crown has gotten 4 different waivers, I know, or they requested 4 different
Requested,
waivers and all like that.
correct.
I understand that and that. Let's see. Oh, well, the other concern I have is that this, I know there's going to be 2 retention ponds in that, or ponds in that, like I said, one here and then sort of one back here and that. And when I looked at their...
Please come back to the microphone. Yeah, because also the meetings are televised, so folks at home cannot hear you.
Okay. When I did look at the Windchase 2, I lost my train of thought right there in that, about that. The Windchase 2, the existing, the ponds, they looked to me like they were stagnant, with the trash in and all like that. And I thought, stagnant water is pretty much a breeding ground for mosquitoes, don't you think? They always say standing water and that's where mosquitoes, put their eggs and all like that. Now, I don't know if they make it a regular exercise to go around and, spray for mosquitoes and that, but, the creeks are pretty free-flowing in that. But if you have just standing water in these stormwater runoff ponds and that, I'd be concerned about mosquitoes too, close to my property, so. That's pretty much all I had.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Ma'am?
Hi, my name is Cheryl Snook. I live at 5000 Colorado. And I live right at the beginning of the curve on Colorado. Our driveway is part of one of the most narrow parts of Colorado. And it's also a very blind spot around the curve of Colorado. And with 21 new houses coming to the area, it's going to basically double the traffic that's going to happen on Colorado Avenue. And my concern is the safety for everyone in my community, in my neighborhood. We have a lot of people that walk. We have a lot of folks that walk their dogs. We have a lot of, and I'm sorry to say this, but we have a lot of elderly folks in my neighborhood. Please don't take that the wrong way. I love you all. But we do, and a lot of them walk throughout the day. And we have a stop sign at Colorado and Utah that absolutely, I would say 90% of people do not abide. And now that we're going to be basically doubling the traffic on Colorado Avenue, the safety of the people in my neighborhood is a huge concern for me. So they did a traffic, which they didn't have to do, and I understand that they didn't have to do it. However, it's a major concern, and it's a major concern of mine. I'm afraid that me just being able to pull out of my driveway is going to be a major problem because I cannot see around that curve. And 2 cars cannot be on Colorado Avenue at the same time at my driveway. And now we're going to be doubling the amount of traffic. And that's just a huge concern for me. Plus, my spouse walks our dog all the time, and there's tons of foot traffic. And then this townhome community might come and walk on Colorado Avenue, which is fine. I have no problem with that. But probably there will be children as well. And then what does that do? We're going to have kids running, walking around, and I don't want them to get harmed either. And I also learned through, it might have been a planning committee, that the only way, and please don't take this disrespectfully, sir, but the only way we can get the police involved is if we actually have incidents on our street. Well, that's lovely. So that means my neighborhood has to actually have accidents and people have to be harmed for anything to be done. And I'm not okay with that because our neighborhood is made up of elderly people, and I don't want anyone to have to get harmed because we're going to be building. I have no problem with the building and development, but I'm very concerned about the safety of my neighborhood, and that's what I have to say. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name's Sharon Swanger. I live at 5012 Utah. And to go along with the traffic problems, these past 2 weekends ago, we had 2 separate families that had large get-togethers. Luckily, one was on a Saturday night, one was on a Sunday night. Our street was parked full both nights, that's fine. But that was, once in a while. But you have if both sides of the street are parked on, you have a long stretch where it basically is a one-way street. And if you have people that are not kind and wait at the end to let somebody else get through, you're at a stalemate. Like she said, I'm concerned with the safety of all of our vehicles. I've had my vehicle wrecked twice. And that was when there wasn't a problem with parking. And that's my main concern. With the traffic survey that was done, it was done on Prince Street. Was it also done on Utah and Colorado? Okay. I realize that it didn't have to be done. They did it because we requested it. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Indiana.
It's off of Colorado.
Oh, that's right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else wish to address the board? Lady in the back, if you would, please. That's okay. No hurry.
Okay, I'm Sandy Lesher. I live at 5013 Colorado. I have a number of things I want to ask. First of all, how are you getting the trees out of there when you cut them down? You know, how are you going to get them out of there? You're not going to bring logging trucks down that street, which means you're going to have to take them down over the hill, correctly? How are you going to get them out of there? Well, these are all things that are important. You're not going to fit a logging truck down our street. You can barely fit a truck down our street. In fact, we had a real taste of what it's going to be like. I don't know if it was, I can't remember now if it was last week, the week before last, UGI was installing, I guess, a gas line to one of the houses, and they blocked off from Indiana all the way up to Utah Avenue. And I was just coming home for lunch when they started it. It was at 12 o'clock, and I asked them, I said, well, how long is this going to be blocked off? And they said, oh, we'll be out of here at 4 o'clock. Well, they were out of there at 4 o'clock. They left all their equipment behind. My one neighbor next door, they had a trailer and a backhoe. It was from Indiana Avenue right to the edge of their driveway, and our driveways are very, very narrow. And if anybody parks to the edge of the driveway or across the street from the driveways, you can't make the swing to get in or out. And that was just a taste of it. You know, I mean, they left all their construction equipment on the street. And I'll tell you, when they start this stuff, every time one of their vehicles gets left in front of my house or blocks my driveway, I'm going to be calling somebody, and I'm going to be calling a lot. If you guys think I complained before, I'm going to really complain. The second thing I want to know is, does anybody realize that that's a different school district there, that the line goes through the backyards across the street from where I live? My side of the street is Central Dauphin East. The line for Central Dauphin goes through the backyards across the street from me. So where those townhouses are, it's a different school district. It's not even the same school district. Because I know my kids...
Same district, but different high schools.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, it's to the point I'm making is, when they built the CD high school, my kids ended up going to Votech because of the way the lines were drawn, because they didn't want to go to East High School. And, you know, that's like a whole different thing. So they should, if that's where it's going to be, then they should be going the other way. We already have one school bus that they changed the route, and it now comes down Indiana and goes up Colorado. And that's a pretty tight fit, because again, there's cars parked on both sides of the street. I mean, can you make it so there's only parking on one side of the street? Because, I mean, a lot of the driveways are big enough to park multiple cars, you know, but there's not enough room for everybody to park on the street because they don't want to switch cars and trucks around all the time. We have to do it, you know. If I need to get out, my son's got to move his truck, you know. In fact, one time I even drove around my backyard because I couldn't get out because he was sleeping, you know. And anyway, and another thing I want to ask about, what about streetlights? We have a very dark street with no streetlights, and we're going to have, gosh only knows how many new people living in the neighborhood wandering around. I don't want a lot of people wandering around the dark in my neighborhood. It's dark, and we're going to have a lot of foot traffic. I mean, how many people are going to live there? Do you have a limit to how many people are going to be allowed to live in a townhouse? Because I know at one time, the house next door to me, the lady that owned it moved away in Ohio and decided to rent it out because she couldn't sell it in time. And she rented it to a lady with 2 school-age children. And then her boyfriend moved in, and then her daughter with 2 kids. There were 15 people living in a 3-bedroom house, and it was bad. You know, the one lady was talking about parties. You couldn't park anywhere in the neighborhood, at least 3 nights. It was bad, you know. And of course, with a private home, I guess there are no occupancy limits on it. But like I said, it's a dark street, you know. And if you tell if somebody's wandering through your backyard at night, like a gentleman, I don't know who he was, but I saw him in my backyard at night, and I told him to leave, and he mouthed off and he left. While he was leaving, he keyed my car, you know. And if you have strange people, a lot of people wandering around, and you tell them, don't go in my yard, you know, it's like they're going to vandalize it. You know, It's gonna be horrible. I know we can't stop the townhouses, but we just don't need the access to our street like that. We really don't. It's beautiful back there. It's quiet. It's gonna be destroyed. I sit there on my front porch and I wanna cry when I look at the woods, and there was like 10 deer out there the other night. One was walking right down the sidewalk in front of me. I couldn't believe it. It's beautiful. That's not gonna happen. Those deer are going. They won't have anywhere to go, and all the other animals that are in there too. It's just gonna destroy it. And I hope they find some other way to do it, because that street cannot handle what you guys have planned for it. Not at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board, neighbors, representatives from Triple Crown. My name is Mike Mulley. I live at 210 Ashwood Way. I spoke on the previous meeting about the traffic that comes from the opposite direction. It's getting heavier. As we come down Ashwood Way, people are avoiding the light at top of Prince and Locust Lane. A couple things. It's not only a problem just driving around Colorado, Indiana, and Utah. It's a nightmare just accessing Utah off of Prince Street. I was nearly rear-ended 2 days ago. There was a car waiting to turn left coming from 22. And as you come up the top of the hill from Prince, it's almost a blind spot as you get to the top of the hill. I suspect some accidents are going to increase in that area. In the time, probably maybe a couple years down the road, we may need a traffic light at the intersection of Prince and Utah because the traffic's going to be so heavy. I see a lot of safety issues. I also suspect that during the time of construction, I suspect there may be some street closures because, as some of our neighbors said, you could barely get one car in. And if that's the case, we may be closing one side of the street to get the heavy equipment in and out during the time of construction. Mr. Chairman, you mentioned the welcome wagon. Again, there were 6 reasons given to why to keep the access to Colorado. I could count about 30 reasons why to move it, all because of our neighbors. All right, the welcome wagon will not be very polite if that access road is given on Colorado. I'm going to ask the board, as you did last meeting, without a proper traffic study and a proper really look at the traffic issues, including all avenues of approach, including Prince, Ashwood, coming down the other side, that we table this matter again until a proper study is completed, then not to take a vote tonight. That's my request. Thank you.
Mr. Stein, is it within the purview of this board to require a more significant traffic study?
No, because it doesn't meet the warrants for that particular development because of its size.
Okay.
Can I just ask Triple Crown, would you be willing to talk to Joel McNaughton and see what they have planned for that piece of land? If maybe they're going to do an access road coming in that you could maybe hook onto now before they start to build?
That presents the same problems that Nancy Street does. It's a stream crossing, it goes through steep slopes.
Please come to the podium because not everybody can hear you.
Chris DeSanto, Triple Crown Corporation. Looking at this map, coming off Royal Ave presents the same problems that Lancer Street, coming off Lancer Street does. Additional stream crossings coming through steep slopes, environmentally sensitive areas, additional impervious coverage, additional stormwater considerations, recalculations of stormwater basins. The most practical access point is through Colorado Avenue.
Most practical or only?
At our point, this is the only access point that we have.
Yeah.
Township wouldn't.
I see 4 or 5 potential access points myself. Look, I fully understand. I fully understand that it is the easiest, least expensive access point.
It's also potentially the only legal access point by the township ordinance, with the length of requirement of a cul-de-sac.
Yet you came to us with Please. You came to us with other waiver requests. You didn't ask for a waiver for that.
The other waiver requests are based off the plan as it's shown. So yes, right now we've asked for waiver request for the width of the entrance because the width of Colorado Ave is already less than the required township right of way. We asked for a waiver request on slopes so that the retention basin could hold more water, which I've heard a lot of stormwater concerns here, but this plan will require us to hold the 2-year storm on site. So actually there will be less runoff than it currently sits today. So that was the second waiver request. Third waiver request was that we don't have to put sidewalk on the, western side? Eastern side of the access road because it would connect into no additional sidewalk. What was the fourth one, Zach? And then curbing around we requested a waiver of curbing around the landscape islands, again, for stormwater so that we could collect more runoff and contain more stormwater on site and direct it to the retention ponds.
2 weeks ago when we were asking questions, and I'm sorry, but I forget your name, when we kept asking him different access ways, all we kept hearing was, it's too expensive, it's too expensive, it's too expensive.
It's a huge undertaking to go through a DEP permitting process, and there's no guarantee that they would even let you come through these sensitive areas if there's another means of access that doesn't disturb them. Practical planning and engineering requirements would generally dictate don't impact environmentally sensitive areas if you can avoid it, and they're going to look at this and say, why don't you come off Colorado Ave where you have control of a lot and then you don't have to impact any of these sensitive areas.
Is there a sensitive area coming off of your first phase there? You couldn't come off the bottom of that.
Off to Lancer Street?
Yeah.
Yes, that's where the stream comes across and behind.
It is a
No.
floodplain on maps.
You cannot,
It's not a sensitive environmental area.
ma'am,
It's been disturbed before.
ma'am, you cannot do that. I understand the emotion here, but you cannot do that. You know, I can remember other projects that Triple Crown has come to us with where you went through environmentally sensitive areas that were of greater size and significance than this, and yet you managed to do it. I understand there's a time delay. I understand there's a cost, all of which are things developers don't like. However, I do strongly feel that there is a safety issue with putting that amount of traffic onto Colorado Avenue, and there are other options that can be pursued, except that you're refusing to pursue them.
I would respectfully disagree. You've asked us to do additional research. We've tabled the meeting. We've done additional research. We've looked into these options, and our conclusion keeps coming back to that this is the access. I mean, we took the time, we drafted a letter. I apologize that it did not seem to get to you before this meeting, but we have spent a significant amount of time investigating this.
Well, I for one disagree that that's the only option. I think it's simply the only option that you're willing to consider. And now, having said that, this board cannot turn down a plan that meets all applicable rules and requirements. So this is a case of where our authority here is considerably limited, which is frustrating us greatly. I still think that you could consider one or two other connection points here if you were willing to take the time to do so. I mean, it's up to you. You can or you cannot,
We have thoroughly investigated this. If you guys seem to think that we're a big bad developer, what do you think McNaughton's? What do you think McNaughton's going to say to us when we come and say, "Hey, we want to take some of your development that you've spent a significant amount of time designing into"?
No, I think that's unfair. We don't think you're a big, bad developer. This board has worked with your company.
I'm sorry, I'm
You know,
not directing
we know you
towards-
well. We've worked with you. And in many other instances, we have cooperated with you.
I agree.
In order to find ways to resolve problems, and we've issued waivers, and we've done everything we can. And this is particularly a case of where we have a problem with this.
I agree. I think
Now, we can't stop you, but I can say this: it's going to definitely have an impact on how we look at things going forward.
Commissioner, I agree. I think we've worked well within the township. We've worked with this board has worked with us, and we have given up on things. We've worked with the township to meet certain needs of the township, meet certain goals of the township. The township has worked with us to help build smart development in what is now the largest township in Dauphin County. And, that says a lot about, the developers who work here, the elected officials who work here, and how we work together as a team to build these communities that bring people to our township and grow our township in a smart way. And we think that we have really spent a lot of time looking into this. And I think that, as any other development the Triple Crown has done, we've tried to work with the township in addressing your concerns. We've tried to work with members of the community. We've come to multiple planning commission meetings, and this is now our second or third meeting here, I believe, and we've heard the concerns. We've done our best to address those concerns, but there are always going to be, concerns about new development, and they can't always be addressed to everyone's satisfaction. We can't make everybody happy. So we've done what we think makes the most sense with smart planning and smart design to try and make this another strong community within the township.
This is not making for a strong community. I think you've heard tonight, this is dividing the community. So you are not meeting that goal with this plan.
You said that you're bringing more residents to the township. The only problem is you're impacting those residents that are living there now with your
I
decision.
would not say I'm providing housing for the residents moving into the township as it already exists. Whether we build this or not, there will be people who continue to move this township. They need housing options.
We don't disagree with that, and we're not even asking that you not build it, although I understand that most people would prefer that you not build it. Our concern is connecting to Colorado Avenue. That's the concern. Were you not connecting to Colorado Avenue and changing completely the character of that neighborhood, and we're connecting through your own development or to the southeast there, we would have less of a concern. But it's the connection to Colorado Avenue that is the sticking point here.
Understood. And as discussed, we spent another 2 weeks investigating coming through back down to Lancer Street. And coming through Lancer Street or Royal Ave, they present the same issues.
Well,
I was back there 2 weeks ago on Monday before the last meeting at 10 after 9 in the morning. I have a very small SUV. I could barely get through Colorado because they were parked on both sides of the street. I had a horrible time turning around at the bottom because there were cars. I can't imagine another 40, 50. You're allowing 60 parking spaces. I can't imagine that many cars back and forth every day. And they're not just going to come out and come back in. They're going to come out and come back in a couple times a day. So you are impacting the lives of the people that are going to be living, on Colorado Avenue.
Any other board members have any questions for Mr. DeSanto? Okay. If you would come to the podium, and we'll take two more, and then I think the board has a very clear understanding of the situation here.
I have one question, please. Have they done, is there any way to do any kind of assessment, like from the fire company or the trash people or anything like that? What actually is the availability to do to getting into there and out of there?
Well, this has been reviewed by the fire department, correct?
Yes, it has been reviewed and signed off by the Director of Public Safety on 7/23 of '21.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And one more. The name and address again, just so we have it. We know we had it before, but
I'm Kathleen Jones, and I live at 5006 Colorado Avenue. First of all, it is not a stream. It is a 100-year-old floodplain on every map that I've looked at. It becomes an intermittent stream because of the amount of runoff in the area now. And in fact, the one time for the August 11th planning meeting, we had a downpour right before the meeting, and it was a 3-foot wide stream. So yes, it can become a stream. It's not a stream. I take umbrage at the fact that you call it environmentally sensitive when that entire area that you're developing is environmentally sensitive, considering the amount of animal life that is there now. So don't pick and choose what environmentally sensitive area you want to develop versus another. I appreciate what I've been hearing from the board tonight. And so my comments are a little bit, may seem a little bit more inappropriate at this point in time, but it's the feelings that I had before the meeting. The Township Comprehensive Plan of 2018 states that actions by the Township are to strengthen and protect older residential neighborhoods and avoid traffic problems. You, sir, Chairman Henry, on August 17th at that meeting actually said that the comprehensive plan is not just pretty words on paper.
exactly.
However, to my knowledge, the board has also accepted or agreed to pay for another comprehensive plan to be done already.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, good.
No, what we approved tonight was a consultant to help us develop a 5-year financial plan for the
Financial
township.
plan.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. I stand corrected on that. Approval of the Triple Crown Corporation's proposal for 21 townhouses with 60 parking spaces will not strengthen, nor protect, nor prevent traffic problems in the neighborhood that immediately surrounds this building. So it will impact you coming in and out of this building also. To me, it's so easy to make decisions when they do not directly impact your way of life or your quality of life. However, it's also as quickly easy to overlook how those decisions that you make affect others down the road. People move on. Bad decisions have been made, such as the width of the street at my house. It's 27 feet, 9 inches. So that's one of the waivers that they have asked for, is to not do anything about the width of Colorado Avenue. But it is not 30 feet all the way around. And I am at the downward side of the curve from 5000 Colorado Avenue. So it narrows and then it widens to 30 feet again. Patricia Shaver and I measured widths along the entire length of the street. So that was a bad decision at that time. Another bad decision that now has to be adjusted for, you now have to restore a stream in the Stonebridge apartment complex. Obviously, a bad decision was made a while ago. Those on the board, you can walk away from your bad decisions. You can choose not to be reelected, and you bear no more responsibility for your decisions after you leave the board. Yet we are stuck with the decisions that you make if they are allowed to access on Colorado Avenue. It will greatly impact our way of life on Colorado Avenue. And again, this another bad decision to access Colorado Avenue, and another man from Ashwood Way actually came up with the same idea. Oh, we've made a bad decision. There's a lot more traffic than we thought there was going to be. Let's put a red light at Princeton, Utah. Those are Band-Aids. Even the stream restoration at Stonebridge is a Band-Aid, because who knows, 10 years from now, you may have to go back and do it again because of a bad decision that was made. And I realize that you make decisions with the information that you have now. But we're trying to tell you, our entire neighborhood is trying to tell you, this is a bad decision. Please do not make it.
What you need to understand is we don't have a decision to make. If a plan meets all requirements, state, federal, local, if they have a plan and it meets every requirement, we don't have a choice. If we say no, the developer will appeal it to court. We'll then spend taxpayer money on attorneys, and we will lose. We tried it once before where we had another situation over on Colonial and Lingelstown Road, where we felt that the proposed development would be a significant traffic safety hazard and also have a negative impact on the neighboring community. Developer checked every box. We still felt that it was not something that should go in there because of safety. We voted it down. Developer appealed it to court. Judge McNally ruled in his favor. And
So-
if we turn this down, I mean, we can vote to turn it down. We can vote to turn it down. These folks will appeal it to court. We'll spend taxpayer money to defend it, and we will lose. And then it will be built.
Okay, but again, it then falls to us to pay, as taxpayers, to pay for the mistakes that are made by developers.
They're not necessarily mistakes. Under the zoning code, first of all, in order to develop a parcel of property, developers have to clear literally hundreds of hurdles in order to get to an approved plan. And developers, when they buy a parcel of property, they have property rights too. And if they want to develop the property that's consistent with the zoning and all the federal, state, and local regulations and everything that's involved, then they have a right to do that. Okay, that's not a mistake. That's living according to the rules. Now, you may not like the outcome of the rules, but that's living according to the rules. Do I wish that we had the ability to say no whenever we felt that something was going to negatively impact our township? Yeah, I do, because this is at least the second time I would like to say no. But I can tell you, if we say no, it will be appealed to court. We will spend thousands and thousands of taxpayer dollars on the case. The judge will rule in their favor, and then they will build their development.
You, sir, have bragged, and he even mentioned it too, that we're now the largest municipality in Dauphin County. I contend that this comes with greater responsibilities and a clearer vision as to what really constitutes a good quality of life in this township.
Well, ma'am,
To create problems when they did not exist does not create quality.
ma'am, I understand where you're coming from. I think this whole board understands where you're coming from. The bottom line fact of the matter is we can only make decisions within the parameters of what townships are a creation of the state government. We operate under the second-class township code. We can only make decisions consistent with that power that the state has granted to us. And, Lower Paxton Township has grown dramatically. Nationwide, suburban areas are where the population growth is occurring. It's occurring all over the country, not just here. we can't stop it. All we can do is, within the parameters of the powers that we have, try to control it as much as possible and to try to bring some amount of consistency and planning to the process, which I think we do overall really well. Now, unfortunately, there are times where folks who own property and developers want to do things that we don't agree with. Well, as long as they comply with all of the above stated laws, that decision is out of our hands.
So what needs to be changed so that we as residents of this township feel that we also have a voice in what happens in our neighborhoods?
Well, you have a voice. However, the owner of the property to be developed also has a voice, and we can only operate within state law. So if you want to change it, you have to change the second-class township code, and you have to change state law and a whole myriad of rules and regulations.
When one owner can affect how many houses on both Colorado and Utah? One.
I understand. That, however, unfortunately, in this particular case, and normally we do work with developers, and we do things that mitigate impacts of folks who are already there, whether it's widening roads, adding traffic signals, putting up buffers of landscaping, etc. We do all those things. However, in this case, if the developer refuses to cooperate with us, we have to vote according to what the law requires. We may not be happy about it, and believe me, we are not, but we have no choice. It's not a decision for us to make.
The waiver that was done in terms of the curbing of the islands in the parking area around the townhouses.
No waiver has been granted at this point.
Well, the waiver that they have requested is strictly to allow for better turning radiuses for large vehicles in the parking lot. If they put curbing in, you're going to have basically large vehicles, bumping over curbs. So again, they really haven't met their obligation in terms of large vehicles in their area. Yet they say they have. I ask you to
what?
Again, I appeal to you that they consider a different avenue. Royal Court is probably the most direct route in, but yet they have to talk to another developer, which they did not. And do you want Wilshire Estates to build another cul-de-sac when through streets that Chris Judd talked about in his neighborhood just happened, when through streets allow for better traffic flow? Please table this also until we can see the plans for their sewage.
Okay, would anybody else like to comment? That's a hard act to follow. Okay, real brief, because we're starting to go around in circles now. And
I just wanted to mention Dan McGlynn, 5030 Colorado Avenue, about the environmental sensitive area that they speak of, and that, like, that's really a big problem. And that, when Wilshire Estates, when they first started building that, I have a well on my property, so I had a little bit of concern about the quality of the water. So I had water samples taken to the creek before they started the construction and then after. And there was a big degradation in the water quality, the sedimentation, and, factors like that. But now, since it's been opened, it's returned back to normal and all like that, so I didn't have to worry. But, the creek we're talking about there, very small and all like that. When Wilshire Estates was built, the culvert is probably a 20-foot diameter culvert that they have, and there's actually almost a bridge in that. This creek that we're talking about that they'd have across, even if they went through Royal Court now, we're talking about a creek that's maybe, you can jump across it maybe 2 or 3 feet. So, and the other concern I had was, we all have mostly owner-occupied homes and that. When I first found out about this, I called Triple Crown and asked him, I said, please tell me this is going to be owner-occupied, and he said, no, it's going to be rental units, So, and of course, people that have rental units and that, they're not going to take care of the property as well as, as owner-occupied. That's the other thing that I had.
Okay, thank you. What's that?
Patricia Shaver, 5008 Colorado Avenue. You say that this thing has not, how can I say this? They've asked for waivers and they've not been given the waivers. Can you deny the waivers? Would that, if you deny the waivers, you're not denying them what they want to do, but if you make them meet the letter of the law and not give them the waivers, then they're not going to come through Colorado Avenue.
Well, that may or may not be the case.
Can you do that?
That's a good question. Amanda, Steve, are we required to approve the waiver requests, or do we have discretion on the waivers?
Well, you're required to approve waiver requests as long as they meet the requirements to obtain the waiver.
Yeah. No, wait. Okay. That was a great legal answer.
It's set forth in the MPC. There's a section that tells you what you have to do in order to grant or deny a waiver.
Amanda, do we know at this point in time whether or not these 4 waiver requests meet those requirements, or is that, we don't have an answer to that? Which is okay.
They have been reviewed, and we have supported the waiver requests. Whether we have done them in the requirements of the MPC, I believe yes, but we could double check that.
I would like to have that double checked.
I would too. Number one, I would like to double check those 4 waiver requests. And also, I think the developer really ought to take this input to heart and consider some options. To that end, we have until December to approve this plan or take action on it. So can I have a motion to table until we get more information on these waiver requests?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. Well, we'll check into those waiver requests. No promises, no promises or guarantees, but we will thoroughly research the issue.
Amanda, who paid for the traffic study that was done?
The information that we were provided, Triple Crown paid for.
It should be an independent study.
Well, no.
Can
Okay. With that, the sewage module has been delayed because we didn't have appropriate paperwork before the meeting. That now takes us to improvement guarantees. So, three improvement guarantees. Thank you. Norm, relative to Hoffman Ford, is that something you need to recuse, or you know?
I'm not associated in any way.
Okay. Do we have a motion then to approve the three improvement guarantees?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we improve the improvement guarantees for Huffman Ford Release, Amber Fields, Phase 7B, decrease, 2017 English Court established.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
That brings us to payment of bills for Lower Paxton Township and the Lower Paxton Township Authority. Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve payment of bills for the Lower Paxton Township and the Lower Paxton Township Authority.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any further announcements? Hearing no further announcements, the next meeting of this Board of Supervisors will be, well, let's see. First of all, we have a budget workshop a week from tonight, Tuesday, September 14th at 5:30, and the next Board of Supervisors workshop meeting next Tuesday, September 14th at 7 p.m. in this meeting room. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Jason, did you get my